You are going to hear this young man's story, but I'm just going to kind of paraphrase and just summarize. But first thing I want you to notice in this title is the fact that he said his parents thought he was possessed when he started coding. I feel very sad for today's youths. Their parents, we have this generation of parents who are completely clueless about the need for self-development. They do not kind of educate and inform themselves in order to better prepare their children for the new world. They fail to realize that the wars that they went through, the kind of exposure they got, the kind of society they grew up in, the kind of education they got during the time they were young is completely in contrast to the world that their children have been born into. And therefore the children cannot have the same values and perspective that they have. So instead of trying to understand the world that the children have been born into, they want to force their children to live as if they're still in the world that they were growing up in, which doesn't make any sense. So of course, if the child then refuses, the next thing is they go religious. A lot of religious people here in the world, in Nigeria and Africa, and so you can imagine he was possessed. They'll probably have even invited a pastor to come and deliver him, but thankfully he had enough sense and probably courage to continue till he was able to convince them that he wasn't possessed and that he knew what he was doing. Just like Njoku Emmanuel, whose story I featured in another video, I'll put a link in the description. The same path. Blockchain programming is a field that is greatly in demand. Why? Because the web development has moved to the point where people are trying to protect their investments more. And one of the things they want is security online, security from hackers, for instance. So they want a system which typically through blockchain programming is decentralized, and therefore if a hacker even gets access to it, they are unable to do much damage because it's not like the way the conventional web is designed. So the ability to provide coding solutions relevant to this kind of need is what makes you an in-demand professional. Now that skill, that coding skill, is not something you even get from any Nigerian school, for instance. If you are abroad, you can even get it, but Nigerian schools don't even offer it. So it's online when you get that kind of education, and when you get it, you don't even need a certification. Once you get it, all you have to do is demonstrate your abilities. This young man tells us a story, and I'm going to just run through some highlights. He's from Ogun State, blah blah blah. He went to secondary school, got his good results, I think 4-6 years or something like that. There are some others who didn't even bother who didn't get anything exceptional in their results, you understand? Okay, but they finished secondary school and that's where they stopped. Njoku Emmanuel did 1 year in university and said university was a waste of his time because what they were teaching, he said, was equivalent to GSS3 mathematics for him. It didn't challenge him, so he just switched and went on programming all night. These kids understand that coding, let me tell you, I've said this before to people, I'm saying it again in this video. A 5-year-old can learn coding. Go to America, go to developed world, you see 5-year-old in Asia coding and making money. 5-year-old, 10-year-olds. So it's not a big deal, and you don't need to get a university degree to code. You don't even need any formal education. Coding is like any other skill. You learn it by doing, and the more you practice, the better you become. That's what this young man discovered. And how did he find out? Well, according to him, he said during the lockdown, he was asking himself, what do I do? How do I, he had always wanted to, his dream was actually to become a soldier. Then the lockdown came, coronavirus pandemic lockdown, and he was forced to look at other options. I said there was a competition he went for that he and another lady had kind of won. There was a Nigerian company, something garage, I can't remember the name of the company now. And he said they had promised them some gifts, which they never gave to him. He said during the lockdown, he decided, I remember these people promised to give us a gift. So he went to them and he asked them for his gift. In the process, I recall one of the things he said was that, I think this is it here, I'm trying to get the story. Okay, so he said they promised us a prize, but did not fulfill that promise. So he said he saw some dusty laptops, and he saw that he told them, he saw that it was something we used to learn programming language. He wanted to learn programming. So he told them to allow him to use one of the laptops, and they agreed, but only for 1 day. Look at that. So you can see determination. They gave him just 1 day, he still took the offer anyway. Now. The next day, he said he would have to pay the sum of 160,000 for them to teach him coding alone. He didn't have the money, of course, but he didn't let that defeat him. He pleaded with them to give him a week. Now you can imagine, it wasn't that he knew where he was going to get the money from, but that's where passion leads you. So he learned programming for 1 week without paying, you understand? And then the next week he started helping them, okay, in the training center to teach you for free. The thing he learned for 1 week, he began to help to teach others. So you can imagine the kind of effort he must have put in, probably staying after hours to learn, so that he would have enough knowledge to even offer to teach people. And if he was not good, they would not have allowed him to continue teaching people. And he was teaching people, free. He wasn't getting paid. So he said he trained about 20 to 25 persons, including youth covers, okay, who had actually paid the money to them. Now I want to make this point. Some of these people who learned from this guy, who paid the full money, you know that some of them probably till today, so probably do not even do any practical coding. It's possible. Sometimes there was something that Kennedy said, that when you have the money, sometimes it can be a negative thing, because when you have enough money to do what you want to do, it kind of shuts the brain down. Because when too much to be too adequately capitalized can be a curse instead of a blessing. This is what happened here. This young man did not have the money, so the drive was there. These other people had the money. How many of them have we heard of now? Is there any of them making millions like him? Probably not. And that tells you a lot. So it's not about having the money, it's about having the passion, the interest, and the drive to do it. So he said he would wake up as early as 7 a.m. to clean the training center and run errands, just to give them a reason not to collect training fee from him. Look at that. He was trying to give back, and that's one of his requirements for success: the willingness not to take anything without giving back. When you want to get something for nothing, there's a spiritual negative return that comes to you. So, but if you are willing to pay back for whatever you get, you want to give something back in use value for the cash value of what you got, you will be rewarded. There are spiritual laws that have, and those laws are universal. So he said in the process, as time went on, he got to know more about blockchain programming. I wanted to get to that. Njoku Emmanuel, blockchain programming. This young man, blockchain programming, that told is an in-demand skill, because today there's a need for greater security online. There's a need for much more efficient mode of web development, and blockchain programming is the key. It's one of the most popular ways of getting it done. But the people who have those skills are very few. That's why they pay them a lot. This young man is being paid to lead a team that's based in the US, for instance. All right, so all of that happened a year ago, towards the end of 2020. Can you imagine? He said he has worked for different companies for free, but he said he started writing codes fully last year, 2021. Right now, we're talking at this. Today is the 2nd of May, 2022. So you see, he hasn't even been doing it for a year. I mean, Njoku Emmanuel was already doing jobs at the age of 14 and earning $5,000. And by the time he was 19, he was offered $30,000 like that, things like that. And he was already had launched his own company. So you can see that he didn't lack money. That's what I'm saying. All right. He said, now currently I write for different firms, but I'm trying to drop some of them because I'm working on mine. If 16-year-old is talking of his own company, so it's not like it's something that is out of this world, that's impossible. This is something that's possible, but you have to get yourself out of the traditional mindset. Now, I was not surprised to see this question. He was asked about university education. They always ask in Nigeria. You see, the rest of the world has moved on. As you're going to hear me say in a video, I'm going to do an analysis of this video. Maybe just show you on the screen. This video here, this man, Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm going to be reviewing the video based on what this young man has done. Okay, what Gary said in this video is applicable to what this young man is doing in his life. So they asked him about university education. Do you have that in mind? The young man is very diplomatic and very intelligent. He told them, oh yeah, I'm going to, of course, I don't want people to think I'm not going to go to school because I've saved money. But, I'm going to do both. I believe there's no time. I want to multitask. So I'm going to do an online program. I said, I hope to earn a PhD in computer engineering. I believe in doing what I can do now so I don't have to do it later. The truth is, this young man is just trying to be smart. He knows that, you see, what he wants to get, he knows what he needs to do to get it. And he knows he does not need university education to get it. So he knows that university education cannot be used to make him suspend what he's doing. So he's just deflecting those answers. He knows that if he just tells people outright, I'm not going to do it, everybody will start screaming. Meanwhile, those people that are screaming and asking him about university education have not made $1 million. This guy has made over 10 million. So the thing is, at 16 you have made over 10 million, and somebody who has never made that kind of money is coming to lecture you about what you should be doing with your time. Just be polite because of age. Don't waste your time arguing with the person. Now, there are people who have passed this, gone through this route as well, and they allow people to derail them. They're already doing well in the chosen career, and instead of doing part-time education, they suspended the business they were into, the vocational skills-based business they were doing, and went back into this so-called university education and got stuck there. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you stop whatever you're doing to go and pursue university education, you're being stupid. Go and check all the people that succeeded. Even they dropped out. And I'm not saying abandon the thing and waste money, but for God's sake, if you're going to do it part-time, because the university does not have most of the things you need to succeed. You already have it in your hands. Okay, so you said you started coding in blah blah blah. Okay, I want to. There's one more thing I want to highlight in this guy's story. Said he spent your money on unnecessary. That's another thing. It's going to happen to everybody when you start making money like that. He said he spent half of his money on unnecessary things. So any millions doesn't move me because the money is now for my company, right? He said people have doubted his story. They can doubt whatever they like. People doubt my story. The way I make money, I tell people all the time. I've gotten paid in euros, I've gotten paid in dollars. You don't have to believe me, I don't care. But so long as I am making the money and I can teach other people to do it, then that's what matters. And I sit down in one corner of my room and I can command income from people who have never set eyes on me and who know they will not see me if they send me the money. So if I can do that, then imagine what somebody who does not have a family to cater for can do. He said the parents were surprised. He said they used to think the devil had entered me, that he was supposed to. Can you imagine that interpretation? Parents need to really wake up and educate themselves. No matter what your religion is, for God's sake, bring yourself into the 21st century. The thinking that some of these parents have, we have some really misguided adults as parents today, and the children that with them are really suffering. I really wish, he said that there's a saying in Yoruba language, the person that has a cap doesn't have a head, the person that has a head doesn't have a cap. Different strokes of different folks, but at the end of the day, some children are just quote unquote unlucky because they have the wrong kind of parents. But luckily, some of those children also have the sense, the common sense, not to listen to those parents and to prove to the parents that they are right, and then the parents fall in line and then begin to preach to the younger ones to follow them. It's funny. He said, would you say there's a link between your performance in secondary school and what you do currently? You see, they will always try to link conventional schooling, but the truth of the matter is that Richard Branson couldn't link anything he was doing in life to his schooling because he was doing badly in school. That's why he dropped out of secondary school and he never went back. So it doesn't follow. There's no statistical analysis that has shown that there's a relationship between academic performance and schooling. We know that's not true. If not, Wole Soyinka, Nobel laureate, third class from university. It doesn't follow. So, but this one, he said he was top 3 in his school. Good. It doesn't follow, however. So, if you're listening to this and you're a person not doing well in school, in fact, your path could actually be in entrepreneurship, not in school. All right. Or then think of Messi, Ronaldo. Who cares about what they did in school? We're talking about skill here. Skill. What was your SSC result? I said he had 8 A's and 1 B. Look, if this young man did not want to do this, if he did not want to even have school certificate, he could have bought it. I remember watching a video on Muhammad Ali just 2 days ago, and it was said that he was so bad he couldn't read. His wife taught him to read, had to teach him to read, because Muhammad Ali could not read. That Muhammad Ali with his sweet mouth could not read. Why? Because they said all through school he was so bad that he was just cheating the exams to pass, to finish school. He didn't study. Muhammad Ali was just copying people throughout the exams, but Muhammad Ali was a champion boxer. Till today we all know him for what he got do. Did he have a university degree? No. It doesn't follow. There's no relationship. In fact, Robert Kiyosaki, I always quote him on this. If going to school made you rich, school teachers will be millionaires. Question: do you know any school teacher who is a millionaire? Answer: very unlikely. So that tells you what you need to do. He said, what would you tell Nigerians who do not understand what coding is all about? And I want to read out this. Apologies to Punch. Coding requires passion. I use coding to improve myself, like Elon Musk, who used coding to develop himself. He was a developer at PayPal. Coding is more like talking to a computer and creating applications for people to solve problems. Crypto comes as a very secure digital access because it is decentralized. Even if hackers penetrate it, there's nothing for them to see because there is no information to show them. I think I don't have to explain anything there. It's self-explanatory. Then the rest of the questions he was asked, no, nothing much to say. I think if you think about what this guy has shared with us here, you see that it shows that you don't need to go to university to succeed, except we want to deceive ourselves. And I want to urge you, if you listen to me as a parent, get your child to read this guy's story. I'll put a link to the Punch article in the description box for this video, and let him listen to this reaction. Let him hear a Nigerian telling you that what this young man did is not out of the ordinary. He's actually one of several. Some of them are quietly doing their thing. They are not bothering to give grand interviews. They are not bothering to announce their successes. They are making money. I know, because I talk to people who know them. Some of them I have actually met. It's possible. Coding is a way to succeed without going through traditional routes. If your child has the talent for it, let him go for it. Don't waste your child's time. Let him go through the conventional schooling system. Alright, so I'm going to go to analyze this video, because it talks about why the school system is outdated, and why, if we don't self-educate our kids, if we don't design a custom education system for our children, then we're going to allow them to fail unnecessarily. The 21st century requires a child to look beyond the conventional schooling system, because the conventional schooling system is no longer enough to achieve authentic success in this world. Alright, so listen to my analysis of this video.